Hello and welcome.
Skateman was written and illustrated by Neal Adams, published by Pacific Comics in 1983. Notoriously, this single issue is considered one of the worst comics ever published. It's a distinction first given to it in 1990 within the pages of the World's Worst Comic Awards. Since then, Skateman is regularly mentioned as an example of a terrible idea done poorly. It always seems to place somewhere on everyone's worst comics list. First of all, the comic contains no credits for either the story or the artwork, both of which are usually credited to Neal Adams. Of course, the artwork looks very much like Adams' style, so it's an easy logical step to take. Also, his signature is on the cover, and he holds the copyright to the character. But at this point in his career, Adams ran Continuity Studios, an art studio he established in 1971. Continuity had a variety of artists, all of whom worked in Neal Adams' signature style. Usually these artists were associates who worked on advertisements for magazines and such. But it was rumored they also provided comic book art when Adams was busy with another project. Allegedly, in the mid to late 70s, comic book editors would specify that if Neal Adams was hired to provide artwork for a comic, they expected Adams to actually draw the book, not members of Continuity Studios. Apparently, it was a known secret that Adams might do a rough layout of a page and then pass that page off to others to be penciled and inked. Whether true or not is a matter of speculation. This may also apply to any writing also supplied. So, in the case of Skateman, it could have been a studio effort, rather than a project Neal Adams specifically wrote and illustrated. On the surface, the artwork looks consistent, but on a closer inspection, there seems to be, at the very least, a variety of inking styles, although some of the pencils and layouts seem to vary too. According to the book, The League of Regrettable Heroes, Skateman was created as a tie-in for a licensing project, presumably for men's roller skates, although no marketing campaign ever materialized for this project. It could have been something created for a client who subsequently disappeared or changed their mind, or it could have been a proof of concept comic to attract a client. So the actual origin or inspiration for the comic appears to be a bit of a mystery. But that's like every other aspect of this comic. It's a mystery why any of it exists, and why no one stopped to say, do we really need to be making this? Let's discuss the positives of Skateman first. The color is surprisingly vibrant for a comic from 1983. That's it. That's all I got. I mean, the coloring may not be great, but it is, vibrant. The story opens with Skateman fighting a group of bikers who are, apparently, harassing a lone striking immigrant worker. However, this turns out to be a trap to beat down Skateman. The police arrive, and Skateman is rescued by Paco, a young man who takes him to an old medicine woman for healing. While in a delirious state, we learn of Skateman's convoluted origin. Billy Moon is a former Vietnam veteran who joins the roller derby circuit after leaving military service. Everything is great until Billy accidentally kills his best friend during a roller derby match. Disgraced, Billy and his girlfriend, Angel, wander the country aimlessly. They settle in California and try to reassemble their lives. Again, everything is great until Angel is randomly slashed to death by a biker gang. No reason for this attack is given. Angel's death and a stack of comic books inspire Billy to make a mask and fight biker crime as Skateman. Back to the present. After 2 weeks of recovery and the invention of a motorized skateboard for Paco, Billy is ready to track down the bikers who killed Angel. Billy gets help from his current girlfriend, Jill, a singer at a roller disco. Again, for no apparent reason, Jill is kidnapped by a random group of bikers during her performance. Billy rescues Jill, who is kidnapped yet again. Billy tracks Jill, rescues her one final time, and then he blows up the warehouse where she was being held. The end. Unfortunately, there is an undercurrent of racism to the story. It suggests that everyone of Latino origin are weak-willed immigrants being exploited by the white-controlled drug trade. To be fair, the story does try to empathize with these characters, but that empathy is highly condescending and, well, based on an unflattering cultural stereotype. Critically speaking, the story is a rambling mess of non-sequiturs and some loosely connected plot points. It is close to being gibberish. It seems like a story that was built around the image that was used for the cover. Incidentally, this image is also the first page of the story, with word balloons pasted over top. From there, the story relies on the artwork to do the heavy lifting of the narrative flow. Regardless, there is a fair amount of incoherency to everything. The pages are reasonably well designed, but some look half-finished or have a low-effort quality to them. While one can make an argument for inset or overlapping panels to denote a related sequence of events happening in real time, in the case of Skateman, it reads like stylistic nothingness. The pretty renderings and skewed overlapping panels are trying to distract one from seeing there is no substance to the story. But that would be giving the end result more credit than it's due. It's simply somewhat pretty nonsense. The plot itself makes little to no sense. Skateman's motivation is to find the biker that killed Angel. Fair enough. But why was Angel killed in the first place? That is never explained, nor is there even a suggestion as to why that murder happened. Biker's gonna murder, I guess. The same applies to Jill's multiple kidnappings near the end. Although, to be fair, the kidnappers want to know what she knows about some drug operation. But they determine, after no questioning, that she knows nothing. So that means they randomly kidnap women to see if they know anything about their illegal operation without any basis for that suspicion. Oh well, biker's gonna kidnap, I guess. There's also a random insertion that implies the death of Skateman's friend, the one he killed in a roller derby match, wasn't an accident. This does suggest that his friend's death, Angel's murder, and Jill's kidnapping are all related. But ultimately, this plot beat goes nowhere and means nothing. Just to give this panel a little added absurdity, somehow Skateman determines this tiny, shadowy figure is this man, who, by the way, doesn't look like any of the three men who kidnapped Jill. There is one scene transition that is the clumsiest one will find in the medium. It goes from Skateman presenting Paco a motorized skateboard to the roller disco. There's no context or explanation, it just jumps. Either a page is missing, or no one thought it was important to provide a narrative thread from one scene to another. There's not even a caption that says, later, at the roller disco. It's just clumsy. Presenting the skateboard to Paco seems to be highlighted and given weight, like it is an element that will be important later. But it isn't. Certainly, Paco is using this skateboard later, but it's not like a motor on a skateboard is all that useful to the task he performs. By the way, these two panels have so much going wrong with them, it's almost artistic. Skateman, who hasn't used grenades before, decides it's time for some urban warfare. So he gives a child a grenade. A child who, in the very next panel, is lobbing this grenade at a closed door. So, for those that may miss the significance, this is a child riding an unproven, experimental skateboard, casually tossing an explosive device at a building because a questionable, violent adult asked him to. If it needs to be explained to you all the levels of morality that violates, you may have some distorted values. The final point worth mentioning is the ending. The story hits the required page count and then stops. There's no effort to provide any sense of closure or to tie up any of the dangling plot threads. Or, for that matter, there's no indication the series of events wasn't just a bunch of random pointless scenes, loosely tied together by a narrative thread so thin that it's practically invisible. To finalize the weirdness of this comic, there are two completely unrelated stories included, which, in essence, makes Skateman an anthology title with literally no theme. In the end, does Skateman deserve the distinction of being known as a terrible comic done poorly? Yes. It is a horrible idea to begin with, and, quite possibly, it's merely an effort to cash in on a brief rise in popularity of roller skating. It's a story that makes very little sense, even when you sit down and try to force it to make sense. All of this is exacerbated by the reputation of Neal Adams, a highly successful and influential artist who should have known better. So, what comics do you think deserve to be included on this list of terrible ideas done poorly? Leave your suggestions in the comments section below. Try to limit these suggestions to a single issue or a very short run or mini-series. I'll look through them and possibly choose one for a future installment.